you were a young child, do you remember adults asking you what you wanted to be when you grow up? Is your answer the same now as it was then? Most children aspire to be public leaders. They want to be firefighters, police officers, doctors, people who they perceive as heroes. However, as we grow up, most of us realize that there are countless ways to be a hero or a public leader, and that most of them aren't so clear-cut. Hi, my name is Abby Ramey, and when I came to Mary Baldwin, I had no idea what I wanted to study or what career I wanted to pursue. I still don't, really. I've always had a problem with picking just one thing. I'm really interested in writing and sociology, but I'm passionate about the environment as well. Luckily, for today's presentation, I was able to find a leader who is just as well-rounded as myself. Not only is this leader a scholar, an activist, and an educator, but he studies the same three subjects as myself, writing, sociology, and environmental science. Widely known as the father of environmental justice, Dr. Robert Bullard has published 18 books on subjects such as environmental racism and sustainability. Today I would like to talk to you more about his accomplishments, but in order to do that, I must first define environmental justice. Environmental justice seeks to ensure that no one is discriminated against based on race, ethnicity, social class, and other social factors in ways that cause them to be disproportionately harmed by environmental facilities and amenities and activities. So, for example, here we have a picture of the water in Flint, Michigan. The Flint, Michigan water crisis is one of the more recent and most popularized examples of environmental injustice in the United States. Flint has not had clean water since 2014. Not only is it gross and brown, as you can see, but this water actually is toxic for human consumption. It is full of lead, which has extremely detrimental effects to human health, especially in growing children who are growing up in Michigan and having to drink this water. So here we have a pie chart. The most important takeaway from this chart is that this smaller wedge here, this smaller blue wedge, the dark one, is the white population of Flint, Michigan. So as you can see, most of Flint, Michigan is not white. Most of Flint, Michigan is made up of people of color. It is a community of color. Something else that is important to note is that all of Flint, Michigan, regardless of race, 40% of it is beneath the poverty line, regardless of race. So it is not just a community of color, but it is a poorer community of color as well. There's a quote from a resident of Michigan that just says, if this was in a white area, in a rich area, something would have been done. So these people definitely feel like they are being treated unfairly because of their race and social class. Here's another picture of the water in Flint. Those are the types of problems that Dr. Bullard seeks to eliminate. He was born in 1946 in Alabama, so Dr. Bullard got to experience racism firsthand for himself as a black man. He actually went to a segregated high school, but despite his hardships, he went to 3 different colleges, eventually graduating with a PhD. After finishing his education, he moved to Texas, where he would meet his wife, who played a strange role in his studies. His wife was a lawyer at the time, looking at a case involving the unfair placement of facilities in communities of color. So she brought her research to Dr. Bullard and just asked if he could look into it more for her, because she was trying to present this case and she didn't know much about it. And he really just took it and got super inspired and continued his research for years to come on the subject of environmental justice. So this is his first book. It is called Dumping in Dixie. Dumping in Dixie presents his findings from that study that his wife had presented to him, which did find that, yes, landfills and other environmental facilities are being placed in communities of color and poor communities more often than white communities. Just a year after publishing that book, he helped to organize the National People of Color Environmental Summit, which was a meeting where people of color could come together and discuss environmental justice issues in their area, or just environmental justice issues that they felt weren't being heard. So he really got all these people of color together, and he wanted to hear their voices, and he not only heard their voices, but he amplified them. A few years later, when he met with President Clinton to help sign the executive order, which was actually the first federal order saying, hey, yeah, we need environmental justice in America. Something is wrong here. We've got a picture here. This is actually a photo from the National People of Color Environmental Summit. So that's really cool. This is another of his books called Invisible Houston. Invisible Houston examines Texas specifically. Texas has the largest Black population in the South, so it is a very good candidate for this type of research. Specifically, what Dr. Bullard was studying here was landfill placement. One of the largest takeaways from this novel is that despite 25% of Houston's communities being Black, only 82% of landfills are being put in that 25% of the Black community, if that makes sense. There's 82% of landfills are put in Black communities, while Black communities only make up 25% of Houston. So there's obviously a problem there that he has addressed. So obviously and clearly, Dr. Robert Bullard is a change maker. He's leaving this world a better place than it was when he came into it, for sure. He has defined environmental justice for us and done a lot of research that has really helped to allow future activists to continue that research and to really do something about the problem. We wouldn't even have the words to discuss environmental justice if it weren't for Dr. Robert Bullard's studies and books. So here are my questions for you. The first is, what type of leadership do you think Dr. Bullard displays? The second one, which I wanted to kind of leave open-ended and just let you answer, is what are some other ways to combine different areas of subject matter to be a civic leader? So the first one I will answer myself. I feel that Dr. Robert Bullard is a transformative leader because, as I said previously, he really gave us the words to even talk about environmental justice. He defined it for us, and he jump-started a lot of research so that activists in the future can take his findings and make a change. We can make sure that landfills in the future aren't being put in Black communities more often than white communities, and that type of thing. So I feel that he's a transformative leader because he gives others the tools to become leaders themselves. I also feel that on the I to we scale, he falls really far to the we side because he made sure that he involved other people of color's voices in the National People of Color Environmental Summit. And that's really important to me, making sure that he was getting the input from his followers before he went to talk to President Clinton and whatnot. That is all I have to say. Like I said, I wanted to leave the last question open, so just in your own time, think about some other ways to combine different subject matter to be a civic leader. Thank you. Have a good day.